Speaking of reliability, a podcast with good friends talking with you about reliability engineering topics. Welcome to Speaking of Reliability. This is Fred Schenkelberg.
And this is Mojan. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Mojan. I live in the mountains here in California, not the big mountains, the coastal mountains, and it rained the last couple of days, and I hear nothing but sirens. So apparently this age-old challenge of driving on a wet road is not dissipated at all, even though it's been raining on and off for a couple of weeks now. So I know you mentioned that something about challenges, new challenges. Well, apparently every time it rains, there's a new challenge for half a dozen drivers out here. But I think you were talking more about reliability.
Yes, I was. The topic was, what's a reliability challenge today that didn't exist 10 years ago, and what's one that will matter 10 years from now?
The biggest challenge by far.
There's many ways we can take this, I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
is that we haven't designed a cell phone that a teenage girl can use more than a year without breaking. That's our biggest challenge, but it's not new. It's been ever since cell phones showed up. That's but
the holy grail would be the unbreakable phone. The unbreakable phone is the goal. Yeah.
Well, it's a goal. It's a challenge for somebody to come up with it. But the more realistically, I think why I like reliability engineering is there's new materials, there's new designs, there's new products and new environments or new ways people use it. There's, I haven't yet seen somebody use a phone to open a beer, but I bet you somebody has. There's
new use cases.
New use cases all the time. So it's, even though the fundamentals of what we do is, what breaks and what can we do about it, doesn't matter what industry you're in or what product you're in or what technology you're in, it's pretty much the same. The tool, what's the highest risk and what can we do about it, and so on. It's usually pretty straightforward. Yet the different polymers, the different, as we go to smaller and smaller cell size on ASICs, on chips, and they generate more heat and they're smaller and they're more dense, it creates a ripple effect in pushing the boundaries of what we had characterized and well understood in the past. And as speeds get faster, as heat generated in an engine is different, as we're just really learning about electric vehicles and all the goods and pros and cons they can do. We don't have 100 years of experience with them yet we want them to be as good or better than the existing ones that had 100-year history of technology on it. And I think by and large we're getting there. But what's next? What's the next technologies? And that's kind of why I really like this field, is that if I was a buggy whip designer, I would have been out of business a long time ago. But I'm not. I'm a reliability engineer. I can break anything.
Do you think that there are, I love that, by the way, I can break anything. We should make t-shirts that says I can break anything.
We'll have to do a Kickstarter and see if we can get 100,000 people signed up for it.
Overheard at SOR.
That's right.
I'm gonna start making a list of Fred Schenkenberg quotes. We'll just start making t-shirts in these.
That's gonna be dangerous.
Yeah, I think so. I agree. But I love this one. I can break anything. I forgot what I was going to ask.
Well, the challenge is, I think there's the speed of development, the new materials, the new use cases, changing supply chains is changing faster and faster. All of those things aren't new. Those have been standing challenges ever since we started making products and systems. So but I think there's, to be very serious about it, one of the biggest challenges that I see that exists now that we didn't have before, and it's been brewing for quite a while, is It's related to a question I got the other day, and it was, I want to be a reliability engineer. Do I need to study statistics? And
Mm,
when I asked during assessments of an organization, it's like, so to what extent do you use statistics? And they look at me like, what do you mean? I said, like a bell curve plot, a histogram, hypothesis testing, design of experiments. Does any of these ring a bell to you? ANOVA, on and on and on. And
mm,
usually I get a blank stare. And I think that's really starting to bite is
mm,
the really good companies do the characterization of their production lines and their capability to meet requirements, and they have really good information about the variability, and they use that to set tolerance. And vice versa. Here's the tolerance we want. How do we get a process that can actually do it without, 10 everything being scrapped? And that takes a lot of statistics, not just collecting data and making a histogram. It's also design of experiments to optimize the processes so you can achieve what you're trying to achieve, or optimize your design so you can relax a critical tolerance without it hindering the product's performance at all. The better organizations I've run into just use statistics, but it's not being taught in undergrad engineering
mm.
programs anymore. And it might be mentioned in a class or two, yet I've heard it over and over again from many different organizations that people are showing up and they want to do Six Sigma design work, but they think that means it's just a meeting to do an FMEA and maybe make a flow chart. They don't
Mm.
understand that Six Sigma is actually a statistical term. And they're
Oh,
not versed in
interesting.
how to actually use that information to help support decision making or problem solving. So I
Oh,
think
that's super interesting.
so I
It
think
kind of
that's a
relates to
challenge.
the yeah, and that it's interesting that you say that. It relates to what I remembered. What I was going to ask is that I was going to say I think from my knowledge. I mean, I've been working in funny enough, I've been working in reliability. I think about probably like let's say 10 years now. So
Hmm.
um, I think awareness of the field, I would say, is a challenge that I would say has gotten better, um, over the years. But I may also be biased because, I work in Silicon Valley, and I think awareness of reliability here is probably, I would say, more or less, higher than maybe other parts because, a lot of the tech companies are aware of reliability and,
Eh,
have reliability teams. I mean, compared to not knowing at all about it.
no, it's funny you say it that way. Is if you're on a combine and bringing in the harvest of wheat, at this time of year or a little bit earlier this year, and your combine breaks down, you care about reliability a whole hell of a lot.
Mm,
And they spend a lot of time off season, cleaning their equipment and refurbishing it and getting it in tuned up and everything else, because when they need that piece of equipment, it has to work. It's equivalent to a moonshot, right? It costs a lot of money if it doesn't work.
hmm
And so it's one of those things that we've cared about reliability intuitively forever, right? Doesn't
hmm
matter what product it is. It's the it used to be craftsmen would build the equipment, right? They cast parts and they get the gears set up, and they hand build that machine for the farmer or for whatever the miller or whoever. And if they weren't good at it, people just went next to the next town and got it from the person over there that was better at it. And they didn't even call it reliability. It just needed to work. Whereas now in the 50s, 60s of the last century, um, the military said, "Oh, World War II was terrible. We built all these machines, and a good number of them were dead on arrival or didn't work very long. And so we need to actually improve the reliability of our warfighting machines." And so there was a huge effort put into specifically reliability. And a lot of the institutions, and the term became much more popular or known then, mostly in military circles, in the military complex. And they created all kinds of standards and everything else. But once commercial companies in the late 70s and 80s, and especially with computers, said, if the computer only works 6 months and it costs $2,000 way back then, we're going to have unhappy customers. And now people are putting them in business critical processes. So it has to work. And then they start getting into redundancy and a bunch of other stuff. But the idea is that the early on work was we created a reliability team. We have a mechanical engineering team, we have this, that, and the other thing. And it was the old throw it over the wall kind of thing. And it was quality was a separate entity and oftentimes contained the reliability group. And it was an afterthought. There, you make it reliable, now we're done. Oh, by the way, you get 1 week, we have to start shipping. And that legacy is carried on in many, many organizations. Whereas the challenge is we don't have time to do reliability, air quotes, do reliability separately. We have to build it in. And I see it as not awareness that the field exists. It's the awareness is that, oh, if I'm going to design something, that means I also have to pay attention to reliability. That's one of the things that makes it work. Whether it's all the ilities, sustainability, availability, reliability, durability, whatever, fill in your blank. They're not separate functions. They're just a sliver of your thought process. And if reliability is important to your product's success, you can't just ignore it. You're going to end up with some performance, but if you ignore it, you'll get what you get. If it's really important and you pay attention to it during the design process and the decision making that's made, you're much more likely to achieve your objective and get a reliable product. The challenge part is not everybody's bought my book yet.
Of course, that's the problem, right?
That's
Yes,
it.
we
But
figured it out.
yeah. Well, it's
Right.
and there's other problems. And it's not just reliability. It's, how do I do this? Well, there must be a standard on it. If I don't know anything about it, let's say it's moisture resistance. Well, how do I do that? Well, there's products like ours that have standards. Let's use that. And the challenge is they're not thinking. Is my product similar to where that standard applies? Because the standard doesn't say anything. It just says dump it in water and take it out and see if it's still working. Independent of that, that's a hermetically sealed product it applies to. So any moisture inside is an immediate failure for the product because that's why we hermetically seal it. Whereas if it's not, it's got a cord or a plug or it's like a phone, there's too many ways water can get in there and it takes time for it to have a problem, to cause a failure. But the idea is that I think underlying that is the issue is that we have so many different things to think about and consider and evaluate. And the reliability aspect of it, while I contend it doesn't take unique skills, a good mechanical engineer can be a wonderful reliability advocate for a product. Same as a technical marketing manager. I've seen that actually happen. This guy, Phil, was really good at leading the team to create reliable products. And the idea is that it's not the mindset change is that it's not that it's a separate thing. It's not a separate department. It's not any of those things. Yes, some teams enjoy the benefit of having an advocate or somebody that has great technical depth in, say, accelerated testing or failure mechanisms or whatever. But that's not necessary. Is just because you don't have somebody on staff called a reliability engineer doesn't mean that reliability decision making isn't already happening. You just make it obvious. Make it make it coherent. And I think that is what I mean. People haven't bought our book yet. Is that it's because that's what we talk about. It's in the decisions, and it's how do you support that. You don't need a reliability team to do that.
No, and even if you did, I don't think it's necessarily scalable to have enough reliability engineers to be in every, be part of every design decision. It just
Oh,
doesn't,
gee,
it's just not possible to have that, nor should it be
no, shouldn't
necessary,
be.
nor should it be necessary to
Just
do
think of
that.
the
So
bureaucracy that
yeah.
would involve.
That was yeah, the budgets, the bureaucracy, that it would be too
I don't
much. No,
know.
I think that like, yeah, the team is there to support and, act as the subject matter experts in various areas and of course be able to kind of challenge and provide, input. But yeah, the decision making that goes into reliability is everywhere. It's not just
Yeah,
within
I'm looking
the
at this
team.
title one more time and I'm thinking, the one that's we didn't have 10 years ago is that, and I'll use the phone as an example, is that I think there's more phones in service than there are humans or something like that. It's an incredible number of these systems are
Mm.
in service, and by and large, they're pretty darn durable. They work,
Hmm.
except teenage daughters, which I have personal experience with my daughter. But 10 years ago, this it wasn't a problem. Phones were fragile. We knew that. They, they lasted a couple of years and we wanted to upgrade because they had all these new features. So we didn't own them long term, by and large. There are exceptions, of course, but by and large, companies could sell a new phone to everybody in the planet every year. Pretty close to that. And now the problem is they can't. And now these phones are going to have to last 5 years. Otherwise, I'm not buying that brand again, kind of thing. It's going the way that many other industries have done over time. So I think depending on your product and where you're on in its overall scheme of lifespan, this may be a new problem for you, is that how do I really make my phone last longer, really make my car last longer, um, or whatever it is. It's relative. The new challenge is relative to where you are in the life cycle and of your product's maturity type of thing. I think that's one way to think of it. The one size fit all, this is how we do reliability doesn't work when you're in different phases of the maturity evolution of your product's overall scope or overall life cycle. In 10 years from
Do you think
now,
that's yeah, I was just going to say, what do you think 10 years from now?
we'll
Is
have
that,
solved
yeah.
the
Hmm.
problems today, right? Our phones will
Hmm.
last 10 years and there'll be you could add features to it remotely. It's it's mostly just a computer. Update the software, move on. Uh, I don't need a 100 pixel camera, 100 megapixel camera. I can't tell the difference between a 10 and 12 megapixel camera. Why do I possibly need a,
Don't tell that to the camera teams at the tech companies.
yeah, I know. I mean, it's a diminishing return on so many of the features that are in here. Now, if it can do teleporting if I,
That would
then I
be,
might
yeah.
update.
How to teleport reliably.
That's right.
That
Well,
would
I'm
be,
thinking if I order
what
something
the
from
target
Amazon and
for
it
that
just
willing to be?
materializes. Oh yeah, no. The idea though is that
99.9999.
yeah, it's I mean, would you get in a teleporter if you knew it was only 5 nines reliable?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
know. No, I think the fact that I
I
know
asked
how
that
to,
question to somebody
yeah.
5 years ago. It was almost 10 years ago. Is would you get into a driverless car if you knew it was 5 nines reliable?
Hmm.
And they said, no way, not in your
Hmm.
life. And it was half the table. It was about 10 of us sitting around, and half the people would be no way. And it was funny.
Hmm.
It was all the old motorheads, all the Detroit people that were no way, kind of like, your car's not that reliable. Why do you get in that? Um,
Exactly. 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 Yeah.
but they
It's all
did.
relative.
We ordered more beer at that point. Um, but the challenges that we face today, uh, using just the phone as a product line, is that it's shifting to being a more instead of a 1, 2, 3 year product, it's shifting to a 3 to 5, 6 year product. And I suspect the phone itself is going to be just fine. It's the challenge is how do we market it? How do we sell enough of them? How do we get features in it that's useful and so on? But 10 years from now, we'd be looking at it going, all right, kid, you just graduated from high school. Here's your phone. It's good for your lifetime. It will continue to evolve and have new features and updates and everything else, but that's the box that you're going to use. And that's pure conjecture on my part, but I suspect there will be some fundamental change in many of the different silos of industries that we have, that they'll become commonplace, where today we just can't figure out how to do it.
Here's to that. I think I look forward to the day where our devices can be so durable to last for 10 years. 10 years is like 5 years. Well, I guess we can kind of do 5 years now, but I'd be super happy with 10 years. Yeah,
Yeah,
of course. I mean, I'm talking about, I
the
guess,
phones.
phones. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, of course, there are many other products that can last for much longer.
So I think there's a number of different ways to break this down. And the challenge part is awareness or education and communication skills, all those kinds of things that we're dealing with. It's also just right now in particular, we have such a fluid and dynamic political impact on our supply chains and
Yeah.
markets and so on, that it's like that's a problem. It's not directly reliability, yet when you lose your key vendor and you don't have a viable as good as substitution, it impacts the reliability of your product. So it's tangential to being not directly a reliability problem, but I think it is a challenge that we face that affects the
Yeah.
performance of our product.
Yeah.
And then there's the idea that it's relative. We're going to face challenges today that is going to take work across multiple organizations or across an industry to solve. And then 10 years from now, it'll be, oh, yeah, we used to do it that way, but that was great. Now we have these problems we got to solve, which is another order of magnitude improvement, say, on whatever it is we're trying to do. But I don't think any of that really gets to it's a brand new issue or a brand new problem that we're facing today. I think a lot of these, they come and show up, and they always do. There's always something that's showing up and pushing the boundaries. And it might be a customer saying, I want something that lasts forever. Like, okay, well, good luck.
Yep. Let's figure it out. That would be a fun problem to solve.
Yes.
Yeah. And to your point earlier, I think the same principles apply, right? It's you just break down the problem.
Yeah, it's a tough one to answer. What's a new
Of course.
challenge today? So
yeah. But
not
great
enough
discussion.
podcasts, not enough people buying the book. That's the real problem. Yeah, I
That's
have
the
to
problem.
stay with that.
That's the problem. Yeah. If only.
If only. Yeah. So anyway, if you're listening to this, you have, a challenge that you're facing or know about or suspect is out there that's facing us that wasn't around 10 years ago and is likely not to be around in 10 years from now. Or even, usually in my banter at the end of the episode is like, even if you just have a question or a comment, but if you have a existential crisis type challenge that we're facing in reliability that we missed or didn't mention, let us know. It certainly fodder for another episode or two. But if you have a problem of how do I choose between two vendors, that'd be another topic. Yeah, we could do that. Just let us know what's the circumstance and constraints you got, and we'll get you an answer as quick as we can. And then we'll probably talk about it and update our answers as we usually chat it out and figure out even better stuff to recommend or suggest for you. So let us know. Head over to accendoreliability.com/go/SOR. A couple of ways to get in touch with us. Mojan and I are available through LinkedIn and our About pages, as are the other hosts of the show. So lots of ways for you to become part of the show and get your question answered and help us, talk about it for everybody else that's in the audience. And I got one more challenge for you, Mojan, is that the website that we use to host the podcast changed their system. So I have yet challenges facing me in the next day or two as these episodes get published to figure out, all right, now what's different and not working like I expected. So I have
That's a
very
challenge you didn't
personal
have 10
challenge.
years ago.
No, I didn't have it this morning either.
Exactly. Yes, the timeline can be anything.
That's right. And then I'll turn around and somebody will say, I have to update my operating system. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
I don't need
yes.
to do that. Come on.
Yes.
All right. So face your daily challenges well, Mojan, and hopefully everybody in our audience does well and as well. But thanks for the
Likewise.
idea. And we'll talk to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for the discussion.
All
Thanks to
right.
everyone
Thanks
who is
much.
listening. Thank
Talk to
you.
you later.
Talk soon.
Cheers. Thanks for listening to Speaking of Reliability. We invite you to join the conversation. If you have a question or a topic that you think we should discuss in a future show, please let us know. You can find a comment box below the episode show notes, or just leave a note as part of a review on iTunes.